Hey y'all, welcome to Adventures with Aggie, brought to you by the Ryan Martin Foundation. Today we have our second episode of our series powered by PER4MAX. We're featuring Jake Williams, who is a two-time gold medalist for Team USA wheelchair basketball. Please welcome Jake. Well, Jake, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
Good. Thanks for coming on. I'm excited to learn more about you. But first, could you just kind of give us some background on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Jake Williams. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I play professional wheelchair basketball. And I've been doing that for, I don't know, like 10, 11 years now.
Awesome. Backtracking, how did you first get involved with wheelchair basketball?
Yeah, so I got involved when I was about a teenager. I got hurt when I was 16 when I got hit by a car on my bike, and in the hospital, one of the guys from the college team in Whitewater came and saw me because our parents worked together, and he gave my number to a local coach, and I started playing a couple months later, and I just became really good.
That's that. I love it. Lots of hard work put involved, but it does kind of, I guess, seem like it was just the flip of a switch and there you were. But awesome. How was your time with the NBA junior teams? We actually have had a couple people come on the show and talk about whether being coaches or kind of their time at the NWBA junior teams, but how did you first connect with them?
Ooh, yeah, that's kind of yeah, a lot of the guys on the team and on the USA team, they grew up kind of, playing multiple years and stuff like that through middle school and high school. I actually only played 1 year in juniors because I was going into my senior of high school when I got hurt. And so I actually only had a 1 year experience. My junior coach was really, really good. He taught me the basics and kind of I kind of told him what my goals were. He kind of had a similar attitude towards it. And so, so a lot of the lessons I take from that, I definitely still use on the basketball court and everything today, as far as like basics and stuff like that. Yeah, played with a guy named Brian Hines. He's now coaching at Alabama. He was really good. They were saying, maybe him and one other guy were like the top two recruits in college in high school for college. And so I would kind of like watch what he would do and stuff like that and kind of try to do the same things that he would do. And then, and that was pretty much it. And then I went off to college after that.
That's awesome. I actually have Ryan on the show next week.
Okay.
We're putting out his
Nice.
episode.
Yeah,
Small world.
yeah.
Cool. Okay, so how or at what point did you realize that you wanted to take this to high performance? And when did you know that was going to be an option for you?
Yeah, that was always kind of the goal from day one, honestly. A lot of people ask me what would I be doing if I wasn't, playing professional basketball or for the USA team. Honestly, I never really had a good answer for that, honestly, because there was never really a plan B. A bunch of people told me, oh, you got to have a plan B if this doesn't work out. And honestly, I never really had one. I kind of just threw everything into it. So, I mean, this was always the goal for sure from day one. So everything I did was pretty much just to get better little by little and further my career. So, yeah, it was kind of just from the start. And then when I first started, and then for my first junior practice, there were a lot of kids on the team, but I mean, obviously it was my first time playing, but then a lot of the stuff that I would do would come easier to me than a lot of other kids and stuff like that. And then we started playing games, and I saw, playing against some of the best athletes from around the country, and I was like, oh, I could do that, like for sure. And I wasn't ready yet, but I was like, oh yeah, I could definitely get that. And then, I went off to college, and I wasn't really highly recruited. A lot of college coaches like talked to me, but they didn't really follow up. And so I kind of used that as motivation, especially those first couple of years as a freshman and sophomore. I was like, oh man, like these guys made a mistake. So I mean, like you said, a lot of hard work, but it was. I mean, I was always like really talented. I mean, obviously, but it was definitely a lot of hard work, a lot of time in the gym. I know I would spend like 5, 6 hours a day in the gym by myself, even after going through practice, just doing like different drills to try to get faster, try to be a better shooter, better ball handler, and stuff like that. Just try to get any edge that I could. And so slowly slowly in college, just year by year, I would make these really big jumps through the summer from, you know, my freshman to sophomore year, my sophomore to junior year. And then, I transferred schools in college and went to Whitewater going into my first senior year. And that was a really good year. Like, I made a really big jump the first time being in a well-established program. Then it kind of all just came together that fifth year in college where, you know, I kind of knew I was better than everyone else in the country. I just kind of had to prove it, but you know, I just had that feeling that I could do whatever I wanted on the basketball court, and you know, went to USA tryouts that year and everything, and all just kind of came together after that, and you know, yeah, and then you know, just getting better year by year, and here we are, 2 golds later.
Lots of things happened since those pushing and pushing, and then now 2 golds later, which is super crazy. But congratulations. I know you're fresh off of one, which is super exciting. But just before we jump into that, you played in Germany, correct?
Yep.
How was that for you? How was the transition from the US to Germany and playing there?
So it was, I mean, I've had, I think, different experiences in Germany and Europe than a lot of other people. I first went over after college. I got hooked up with a team in Germany. I mean, obviously, you know, we don't know anything about, or I didn't know anything about any teams over there or anything. I just kind of went with any team that would give me, because my mindset, it was kind of like, let me just get over there and then I'll like get on a better team, even if this team is not that good. I'll have offers, because I knew how good I was. But the problem with, you know, not playing, I think I only made the national team one time prior to that. So like, not having a lot of exposure out over in Europe, and there's no real good way to do that other than going over there. And so, yeah, I went over there my first year. I had maybe, you know, $6-7 in my bank account here, but I went over there, and then it was cool at first, you know. The team wasn't that good, but you know, I had a really good year, and then I kind of knew I wanted to make a career out of it. But you know, and then I was getting ready to come back to America. I think I had other teams looking at me, and so I was going to sign with them for next year. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of money in my bank account, so I would just save up all the money that I had, you know, as much as I could. And then I think about a week before our last game, we got like a letter in the mail saying like the team didn't really pay for our apartment or anything like that, and we're gonna get sued by like the German government or something like that if we didn't pay. And my visa was about to expire because it was only on a temporary visa, and so all that money that I had saved up, I kind of had to go, you know, pay for the apartment because the team didn't really take care of that and stuff like that. And we didn't hear anything for 7-8 months, so you know, we thought everything was good. And then so that first year was definitely kind of a struggle, but then I got hooked up with another team that was a much better organization in Hamburg, and I really liked the city, you know. Great city, you know. It was a lot of people from all over the country, you know, kind of like it's one of the bigger cities, so a lot of transplants there and everything, people from all over Europe. And so that was a really cool city, and I enjoyed it. But then I made a move to East Germany, which East Germany is very different from what Hamburg was. A different culture, you know, much more rigid, everything. The organization there, however, was amazing. And so I spent like 3 years there. And I think the basketball wise, that was awesome. You know, we pretty much did everything that we could there. The culture wise, you know, it's just Germany's really different from America. It's really like rigid, you know, really follow the rules and do all this. That really kind of got to me. By the end of it, I was just like, I can't handle this anymore, you know. And plus the weather, you know, a lot of times was really, you know, I mean, I'm from Wisconsin, so it's not that bad. But then, you know, being over in Europe and away from your, you know, close friends and everything like that, that was kind of, and, you know, with the culture being so like, you know, I was kind of like, yeah, time for me to get out of Germany.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I love my time in Germany too. I wasn't in Hamburg, but it was great while it lasted. I'd love to go back and visit. But let's kind of fast forward just a bit. I'd love some story time on your time in the Paralympics.
Yeah.
Could you give us maybe some highlights, maybe from Tokyo, since it's so recent, but how was that for you?
Yeah, I mean Tokyo was cool. It was a big difference from the Rio Paralympics. The village was really nice and the people were really nice. The Rio village was kind of more chaotic because, just so many moving parts and everything. And this one, with all the restrictions, we had to test every day. It was much more like structured, or much more, I won't say chaotic, but or structured, but like much more, people kind of keeping to themselves, like some countries weren't able to leave their dorms at all. So it was a really beautiful village that it didn't seem that crowded once we were there. So that was really cool. And they had these cars that drove themselves and everything like that throughout the village. That was cool to see, until they had to manually drive them because one of the blind people, one of the blind athletes got hit by one of them actually. So
Oh
yeah,
my
so they had
gosh.
so they went from autonomous to manual really quick after that. Tokyo was good though. We didn't really have a lot of downtime. We always had practice or game or another practice or something like that, or a meeting. So it was we were kind of always on the go. But they made this rule in Japan that after your last event, after you were done competing, you had 48 hours to leave the country. And so a lot of the athletes that were there for individual sport that were, only there for a day or two, they kind of just came in quick and left. And so by the end of it, there weren't that many people there at all. It was nice, other than like the restrictions and having to test every single day and stuff like that. I really liked it.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot. And I think that's cool though that you've had both. You've had a pre-COVID and kind of a during slash maybe post-COVID. I don't know. I don't know what we're in now, but that's awesome that you've been to both of those. But I guess just a question that was submitted by my team. They want to know, what does it mean to you to be able to represent the United States at this level?
Representing the United States is really, it's really, amazing for me personally. I think a lot of people in our sport, and not just our sport, but a lot of athletes from the United States, I think, have been taking it for granted, and and stuff like that, with some of the things that have been happening with the pandemic and everything like that, and they've really been taking it for granted. And I just never saw it that way. It was always just an honor, and the only goal was, to make the Olympics or Paralympics every single year and stuff like that. So, you know, uh, putting on like the jersey and getting all the gear with Team USA on it, and being around your teammates and going around the village with USA on your chest and everything like that, and hearing your national anthem play before every game and after you win, it's just an honor. And I just can't fathom why anybody wouldn't wouldn't see it that way. You work so hard to get to a certain point, and representing your country, it's the highest achievement that you can get. So it's honestly been a blessing and honor to represent America.
That's awesome. I love it. That's one of my favorite questions that I've done on the show is just hearing how much it means to people, because it's great and it's not everybody can do that. So that's super cool. But let's see, next for you. We have to talk about PER4MAX because that's why we're here. So how did you join the PER4MAX family or community? How did this come about?
Yeah, so I was in college, and went to Whitewater for my first senior year, and I was in the top end because they were sponsored by Whitewater at the time, and I always been in the top ends, just because they were always around, and it was cool. But then I made my first USA team, and I don't know, I just felt you know I always just felt like I wouldn't say the chair was holding me back, because I don't think that. I just think something wasn't like quite right about my setup. And so Chris Comer from PER4MAX actually made the team with me as well, and I kind of told him my issues, because a lot of the guys on the team had PER4MAX at the time. And he was like, yeah, man, for that, you can do this. And for this, you can do that to make it respond like that. You can do this. And I really liked what he was saying. And you really kind of had the all the answers that I was really looking for. And so I told him, I was like, yeah, man, let's get measured for one. And so he measured me for a chair at that tournament in 2013, actually. And at the time, it was kind of uh, I don't want to say crazy, but it was kind of like an awkward ask because Whitewater was sponsored by Top End at the time, and everyone wasn't Top End and everything like that. And so me switching to PER4MAX, it was kind of like, what are you doing, And so, but as soon as I got it, everything just felt so much better, it really felt like a part of my body. It was moving the way I wanted to and everything like that. And I could just tell instantly as soon as I got in it, it was definitely the right decision to go. And then, with every chair, you make new improvements and you get better and better. But yeah, definitely glad that I was on that team with Chris in 2013 for sure.
That's awesome. That's great. I've learned over these few interviews that I've done with PER4MAX, it's very much a community, and I think everybody who uses PER4MAX speaks very highly of their chairs, and
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. And I'm glad that they've kind of brought us doing this show together, and a really awesome series that we're putting together as well. But let's see, just a few more questions for you. First, we'll go with, do you have a favorite quote or maybe a motto or something that you kind of say to yourself all the time?
I don't know anything about I say to myself. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of things that I've, taken and got motivation with over the years and everything like that. It's kind of been varying throughout the stages of my career, things that give me motivation. I don't know, but I was having this conversation with my buddy just the other day. I was just saying because he was kind of in my position where I was a few years ago. And so I was just kind of like, man, just like, as soon as you just stop caring what other people think about you, about everything you're doing, your life's just gonna skyrocket, because that's exactly what happened to me. As soon as you just like get that close group of friends and then just stop caring about what everyone else thinks, beautiful things are going to start happening in your life. And I really think that it's really important to have that, kind of like security blanket of your circle and everything like that, and get the right people in it. And then just, keep your head down and just keep grinding or keep doing whatever you're doing if you believe in it. Because I mean, as soon as you do that, and as soon as I did that, things just started to go way up.
That's a perfect lead into my next question. You're good at this. You're great at this. Going along with my questions here. But the next one that I ask all the athletes that come on the show is, what is one piece of advice you would give to younger Jake? You kind of already hinted at some advice, I think, in your last answer. But yeah, what's one piece of advice you would tell your younger self?
Oh, man. I don't know if it's one piece of advice, but maybe just, like I said, just like, stop caring what other people think a little bit sooner, because, having an accident, when I was 16, at that stage in my life, it was definitely tough time, to get over something like that and everything like that, going into your last year of high school, and then, not knowing what's coming next after that. And then now I had to deal with this, life-changing experience. So, just maybe, stop caring about what the person down the streets, if they see you, going out like in your wheelchair, just stop caring about like that stuff. And, and like always, be up for like go to like social like situations and up for a lot of trying new things and everything like that. And me personally, I've never regretted anything that I've done, but the only like regrets I have are things that I haven't done. So, just kind of be in that mindset just a little bit sooner.
That's perfect. I bet younger Jake would appreciate that advice.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have listened though. It's all good.
That's a different story. That's fine. Awesome. Okay, last question for you. Can you briefly tell us about maybe somebody important in your sporting career, maybe a mentor or somebody who really influenced how you got to where you are today?
That you definitely meet a lot of people throughout your career, and even before I got hurt, I met a lot of people that would influence, my life, and as far as sports and everything like that. Like I always played sports before I got hurt, growing up, and so I really was always into that, and so I mean, one person that sticks out is my uncle Rick. When I was younger, I thought he was just the coolest guy. He would always go out with his friends playing basketball and stuff like that, and then he would let me come with him sometimes to go to games at the local high school, and then play basketball with him at night in the backyard and everything like that. And so just kind of like a lot of things I get from him, definitely from just like my attitude and mannerisms to even like the way I dress. He was always dressing like really sporty, and I thought he was the coolest guy. And so I kind of always took that from him and everything like that. And so after I started playing wheelchair basketball, it kind of was in the same mindset, like that. I kind of always had that kind of energy that I got to him just from watching him and being around him and stuff like that. And then, as far as like in the basketball community, I mean, you meet a lot of people that influence your career, some for the better and some not. A lot of the guys on Team USA in 16 and 20 that we won with, a lot of those guys have definitely influenced my career, because we're all really close, but every one of my teammates definitely brings something different, to the squad, and to the way they do things, and stuff like that. So they teach you how to be professional. They teach you how to stuff like how to travel, what your diet's like, and stuff like that. And they all bring something different. And there's more than one way to do something right. That's one thing that when I first started playing wheelchair basketball, everyone was like, you have to do it this way. You have to go here. You have to do it this way, or you're not gonna make the USA team, or you're not gonna be good. And I just wasn't kind of like that. I kind of was different from all those people, and I knew it kind of right away, because they were kind of, a lot of those guys, really good people, but they were kind of more stable, had families, kind of had long-term girlfriends and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that, absolutely not. But I just wasn't at that point in my life, and so I was trying to do things like a different way. So not just staying in my college town the whole time and train with the teammates from there, kind of moving back to Milwaukee, and train by myself there and stuff like that. And you get all those guys on the USA team. Once I made it, they kind of influence you in all kinds of different ways. Like I said, they teach you how to be professional and stuff like that, and how to stay out of trouble and stuff like that. So definitely the biggest influencers lately have definitely been the guys on my USA team, because like I said, they all are successful, and they all do it a different way. So I definitely appreciate that for sure.
That's awesome. Lots of supported people. I love that. Love that for you.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Jake, thank you so much for sharing your story and giving me some of your time today.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, thanks for having me.
Jake, thanks so much for coming on the show, sharing your story, and telling us about how PER4MAX has been an integral part of your sporting career. Join us next week on Monday to hear from Courtney Ryan of Team USA Women's Wheelchair Basketball, powered by PER4MAX.